All right, welcome to the 10/19/23 Seaport Manatee. What are we? We are the Port Authority meeting. Call us to order. And for everyone here, first of all, I do want to point out we have behind me the Florida flag, the American flag, but we also have the flag of the nation of Israel as an expression of solidarity, and we will speak more about that further on in the meeting. We like to start all of our meetings with an invocation, with a prayer, and then also a pledge. For our prayer, we have our chaplain, Jeff Holton, from the Anchor House, and leading us in the pledge will be Commissioner Mike Ron.
Let's pray. Lord, we come to you this morning and we thank you for the beautiful day you've given to us, the sunshine, the cooler weather, and just the ability to gather together to talk to one another, to meet, and to do the work of the community. And Lord, I pray a blessing on this time. I pray that you would be present here, that you would watch over, and that, Lord, everything that is done would be for your honor and for your glory. We thank you, we praise you for this time, and we give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and with that, I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Bacaros.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, it's usually customary to have audience introductions, so we'll go around the room and have the attendees introduce themselves. Starting right here with our Deputy Director.
Dave Sanford.
Jennifer Cowan, Port Council.
Denise Stuffelbein, Port Staff.
Virginia Zimmerman, Port Staff.
Jeff Holton, Executive Director, Anchor House.
Evan Henshaw, Apex Engineer Products.
Abby Lindekamp, Port Staff. Denise Tuck, Del Monte Fresh Produce.
George Eiseminger, Port Staff.
Dan Fitzpatrick, Port Staff.
Sean Smith, Port Staff.
Malcolm Edwards, Port Staff.
Neil Unruh, Clerk's Office.
Billy Savage, AR Savage and Son.
Norman Atkins, Marine Towing, tug provider here at beautiful Seaport Manatee.
John Jeppard, Genesis Realty.
Adrian Seba, Logistech Terminals.
Troy Layton, Port Staff.
David St. Pierre, Port Staff.
Dan Ferrer, Kinder Morgan.
Ryan O'Neill, Kinder Morgan.
Terry Fluke, Executive Director, Tampa Bay Pilots Association.
Pam Wingo, Port Staff.
Carlo Barrieri, Oxford Group.
All right, thank you very much. And then at this time, I'll open it up for public comments. Do we have any public comment today? All right, seeing none, we'll go to number 6.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is our third meeting of the Port Authority coming together at the port today. And as you can notice at the entrance, we had a little extra enhanced security, the recommendation of our security director. Not that we're expecting anything. The security level has not been raised at the port, but we're having more of a physical presence. This is a building where we have both tenants and port authority and port staff. So we wanted just to show a little bit of more a visual security level. With that, Mr. Chairman, at this time, we'll move to item number 6, and this will be employee recognition. Our Director of Corporate Communications, Virginia Zimmerman, you know, she's been around quite a bit. She came for a few months and stayed for already 10 years. So, Virginia, if you want to come up and also, so you can't take the picture yourself, right? But if we could have the chair, please, Mr. Chairman, if you could come and maybe Okay, you stand however you want it. You set it up, right? Okay. If you don't mind saying a few words into your corporate communications. Okay.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years that went by so quick, and I guess I just seen it, and here we are. When I first started at the port, my son was 2 years old. He could hardly speak, and now he's taller than me and is halfway through middle school. So that really shows, how time flies. It's been an exciting 10 years. It has been an amazing journey watching the port grow, seeing where it was. Here, that's better. Seeing where the port was 10 years ago, how it has grown. I mean, just the container count alone is amazing. Our container yard was way smaller back then, and it's just wonderful to see how many trucks we have now, the commodities that are moving across our docks, and I'm really proud to have been part of it for the past 10 years. I've had the privilege to work with some amazing co-workers, mentors, leaders, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity, and thankful for the opportunity the port has provided, and the trust it has placed in me, and I'm looking forward to more years to come. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Congratulations for 10 years. We're very grateful. So, absolutely. Go ahead, Mr. Harris.
Okay. And then with your concurrence, we'll move on, Mr. Chairman. This time, if I may just make a comment that the turnover at the port is extremely low. So, we're benefiting from the experience that the staff gains over the years. It's probably one of the lowest turnovers, in the state of Florida for ports. And instead of maybe moving to another port, as there are 15 ports, generally, they like it so much here. They hear so many unpleasant things sometimes about what could happen to them at other ports that we keep that professional staff longer, fortunately. And they like Manatee County more than anything. That's the issue. Yeah.
You must be doing a good job.
So with that, Mr. Chairman, so we're going to have 3 presentations today. The presentations are targeted towards perhaps bringing up types of projects, types of functions and jobs, and those companies that interface with the port, whether federal, state, or private, or even in this case, the pilots. The pilots, as you know, are the responsible organization, the Ports Pilots, which is a Florida association, for bringing in every ship that touches a Florida port. With that, we have the executive director today to bring us up to speed on the latest developments, at the Ports Pilots for the Tampa Bay area. Terry?
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. All right.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your appointment to Florida Ports Council
Thank you.
as chair. We were excited about that. Good morning, everybody. I think I was supposed to have a clicker to...
There it is.
Oh, there it is, right there. Again, Terry Fluke, Tampa Bay Pilots Association, Executive Director. A little bit about my background. I'm not a pilot. I don't have a Mariner credential. I've worked in the ports for 39 years. In logistics prior to working for the pilots, I managed a petroleum facility for 26 years in the Upper Harbor. And I worked for Cargill for 9 years, and then I refer to this job as my pre-retirement job. And boy, are we having fun. So I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint, and if you want to ask questions as we go through the PowerPoint, it's fine. If you want to wait till the end. And then I'm going to show you a brief video that was done about a year ago. So history, the association was founded in 1886. There were actually pilots on Egmont Key before 1886, but the group was formally incorporated in 1886. I think the original pilots date back to the early 1800s. So again, we still have a presence on Egmont Key. We still have a pilot station on Egmont Key. So a lot has changed, but a lot has not changed. We're still taking or having pilots go from Egmont Key, pick up ships out at the sea buoy, bring them in, bring them out, and then go back to the pilot station. 70 miles of navigable channels in Tampa Bay. That includes not only the main ship channel, but obviously the right turn on Tampa Bay, the Manatee Channel. We have channels that go into the Alafaya, into Big Bend, into Old Port Tampa. Various widths and depths. We have restrictions on all the channels as far as depth and width and passing and so forth. One of the challenges that we've seen, not only here in Manatee, but in the port to the north in the last 10 years, the ships are getting wider and the ships are getting longer. Weather conditions, that's one of our, other than boarding and disembarking a vessel, weather conditions are probably our number one risk and threat. Again, if the port's fogged in, we're not going to move ships. You got a picture of a ship here that got caught in a fog bank. It's a 4-hour transit from the sea buoy to the upper harbor. It's not uncommon during fog season, which we're getting ready to get into. Not uncommon for the fog to move in when a vessel's in transit. Vessel's in transit, there's no place to run, there's no place to hide. He's got to keep going. And most of the vessels in this day and age have the technology and radar that the pilot can see and still navigate in the channels. The threat are those other guys out there who don't have that technology and can't see, the small commercial vessels and the recreational vessels. Technology. Each of the pilots carries a PPU on board. It's basically an Apple laptop or an iPad. This is the technology that's loaded onto those iPads. There's actually what's referred to as a pilot plug that these devices plug into the ship's navigation system. So the pilot not only has access to the vessel navigation system, depth and speed and so forth. The overlay you see is specialized software that shows the pilot where he is in the channel. And the red ships up on the right obviously are docked. And then the green ship is the ship that's moving at the time, of course, that the pilot's on. It's very powerful. It gives them a lot of information, as you can see, not to go into detail on the information, but they have access to that information to assist in navigation. They can also overlay radar, or they can overlay ports information as far as winds and tides and so forth. So again, these devices have been around for about 30 years now, and I can tell you from personal history that the number of groundings in Tampa Bay went down significantly when these devices were, came into use by the pilots. Okay, here's a good one. We're coming close to home now. This is an actual shot of Port Manatee and the vessels, and of course on this day, those are real vessels. I think you've got the one in red up there. You see the two little boats, the one on the bow and the stern. Those are probably marine towings tugs, right? Marine towings tugs. You see the little red one out there with a tugboat on the stern. This is an actual shot. This isn't like made up stuff. So you kind of get a visual on the tight spaces that we deal with, not only in Manatee, but I could show you some in the upper harbor as well. The good story is, and since I've been around 39 years, good story is I remember coming to Port Manatee 15, 20 years ago, maybe one vessel in Port Manatee, and you drive through Port Manatee and there would be tumbleweeds blowing across Port Manatee. Never any issues like this. This is a current picture. Done some really great things down here. Our challenge, along with our tugboat providers, is to be able to park ships like that. And we do it at night, and we do it in bad weather. But it's a good challenge. We like it. Keep bringing the business. Similar picture, and I like both of these shots, and again, these are real shots. You've got a vessel at berth 10, and then the vessel that's being docked is going into berth 9, and you've got a vessel at berth 8. Those are real clearances. And you see the tugboats, and I'm sure they're Norman's tugboats. Our pilots not only rely on those PPUs, because the PPU, they can also shoot distances, so they can actually measure as they're pushing a ship in. They can pull measurements to see that 10 feet that they've got on the stern, coming up to the stern at the one on berth 10. So again, the other important person or people in our life are the tugboats. And our pilots love the tugboat operators in this bay. This is a port system. If any of you haven't dialed up Tampa Bay ports, very important. Again, the pilots can overlay this on their PPUs and get all kinds of meteorological data, visibility, winds, tides. And again, this is over the years with the development of ports, this has enabled pilots to move more ships efficiently, deeper drafts, and larger ships. Right turn on Tampa Bay, things we like about Manatee. Increase in business we've seen, that's obvious. Close proximity to sea buoy versus port areas to the north. Have good inbound and outbound ranges. The ranges are the devices that the pilots use for visuals in and out, especially, as Dave St. Pierre, especially when they're lit, right? When Coast Guard keeps them lit, that's the best part. Good berth facilities, deep drafts, easy access in and out of the port. Good timely line handling, exceptional operations staff. I want to give kudos to your operations staff. If we have, especially if it's a safety issue down here, I'll call Sean Smith or even Dave St. Pierre. It just gets fixed. And that's not the case in other port areas in Tampa Bay. Workforce, we have two managers, myself, and we have an office manager, accountant. She's more important than I am because she pays everybody. We have 7 or 8 pilot boat operators, 5 dispatchers that manage traffic around the bay 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 17 pilots, currently 2 deputy pilots in training. The training program for the deputy pilots is 3 years. It takes a long time to train someone to do this job. That's our website. It's a public website. Everybody uses our website in the port community. Our dispatchers keep it updated. Vessel schedules are the most important. That's the one that everybody looks at multiple times during the day. And again, there's a lot of other information on our website regarding all of the ports in Tampa Bay. Community support. We do support all of the various charitable organizations and maritime organizations. And I hope Anchor House, you guys still get a check from us, don't you? Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're gonna, anybody who doesn't get a check usually lets me know. I usually don't have to ask that question.
You know, one of the most unique jobs in the world is also one of the most dangerous. They're harbor pilots. And no, they don't fly planes. They guide all these big ships in and out of Tampa Bay. Tonight, an exclusive ride along with some of those who are making waves, the big ones in the middle of the bay. They're the 200,000-ton behemoths of the sea, hauling gas, goods, and people in and out of Tampa Bay. $24 billion worth in economic value every year. But their captains aren't the ones steering them under the skyway. A few miles off Egmont Key, one of Tampa Bay's harbor pilots hops on, literally while on the move, climbing aboard to guide them in. Harbor pilots spend years studying Tampa Bay's waters and need to be at every ship captain's side, calling out every command. So they not only have to be maritime experts, but athletes, often climbing up to 25 to 30-foot rope ladder.
Yeah, he's got his days.
Tevin Freeman took a cruise when he was 6, and he was hooked by the sea. He remembers vividly his first climb, and the first time he steered his first vessel under that Skyway Bridge.
It was nerve-wracking for sure, yeah, you know, because you hear the stories, you know, so you're a little nervous about it, but it was cool.
Then there's Kyle O'Connor. He grew up on the water and on ships. His father's a harbor pilot in Jacksonville.
To finally be able to take over that, you know, the con of the ship and pilot it myself was a dream come true.
And they make it look easy. But a split-second slip or loss of grip on a transfer can be deadly. This is also the most dangerous time of year because with these winter fronts come the more treacherous conditions. We're only doing this right now in about 2 to 3 foot seas with a very light wind. Imagine when one of these fronts comes through.
You know, that's the toughest part of the job, really, is that ladder.
And Mother Nature's only one challenge. Terry Fluke is executive director of the Tampa Bay Harbor Pilots Association. He tells me Tampa Bay is the toughest of all the ports in Florida to navigate, because Tampa Bay as a whole is extremely shallow, with an average depth of around only 11 feet. Wow. And the channels that lead into Port Manatee, St. Pete, and Port of Tampa are well marked, but extremely narrow. How narrow? Ships must pass through each channel in the bay within feet of each other, day and night, with no room for error.
The bottom line is we have to be 100% right 100% of the time.
But below the surface lies another problem. Ships have more draft than smaller boats. That's the amount of ship below the surface. The big ones can have drafts up to 25 to 30 feet, which means with a 38 to 40 foot deep channel, there are times some ships have just 3 feet of clearance to the bottom of the bay.
And our pilots watch tides. We do movements based on tides. If there's not enough water to maintain that clearance, then it's a no-go situation.
Yeah, that's correct. We're going to turn around and go port side 2 up there.
And it's just as delicate a tap dance in the port when they've got to move ships to make room for others.
We have to turn the ship around twice, also in small areas, so we're really just worried about space.
Also coordinating with tugboats, pushing and pulling.
Or a dead slow ahead.
Dead slow ahead.
The toughest three-point turn you may ever see.
This ship is a little over 600 feet long, but the channel itself is only 500 feet wide.
A short time later, the all clear is given.
And both tugs can run along.
Just another day in the life at the top of Tampa Bay's supply line.
It's a pretty good life.
In their office with a view that never gets old. Now, harbor pilots earn their six-figure salaries. In fact, after 10 years of study, school, and training, that's when they get these jobs. And they're incredibly rare because once they're placed, they often stay there until they retire. There are about 1,200 harbor pilots all across the country, 18 here in Tampa Bay, and their senior most pilot here locally is a woman. Hey there, Scott.
She's going to tell you how to drive anyway.
And I didn't pay Mark Wilson for that. I did not pay Fox News. They approached us. They wanted to do that story. And I got to tell you, it took a couple weeks to get all of that footage and all of that coverage. So it ended up coming out. I really didn't even need the PowerPoint to show that. So anyway, I'm pretty much done. Open it up for questions. Anything? Anybody on the board ever wants to go out and ride a pilot boat?
I'll do it. We took. Never should have asked that.
Amanda's not here from FDOT, is she? No, she's not here.
As long as I don't have to climb the ladder.
We don't. Yeah, I know. Well, I do the tours, so safety. I'm the safety officer. So no, we don't let. Yeah, the public climb ladders.
Hold our next meeting next.
You go out and ride on a pilot boat, you can see a pilot do what you just saw in the video, but you have to stay on the pilot boat.
Commissioner Ron, did you have a question?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, for the harbor pilots training, do you go out to like a Texas A&M's maritime school and do recruiting and stuff like that? Is that where you get a lot of your pilots from?
No, good question. Nowadays, they all come from a maritime institution, A&M or Kings Point or SUNY, a couple on the West Coast. And I call them kids, but they go to the maritime institutions, and when they're there, that's kind of when they decide they want to be a pilot somewhere in the U.S. So they do the scouting and decide geographically where they want to be, and of course it's what pilots make what money in certain ports, et cetera, et cetera. We're regulated by the state, though. The hiring process, I don't get involved in. When we need a new pilot or two pilots, I tell the Board of Pilot Commissioners who regulates us that I want two pilots. I don't know who those pilots are until they call and tell me. They do all the testing, they do the vetting, they make sure that they have the qualifications to sit for the pilot test, because there's a test they have to pass, very competitive. Every test, there's 25 to 30 candidates that sit for the test for one position, or maybe two at the most. Wow. Very, very competitive. And they have to have 8 to 10 years of sailing experience before they can sit. So they go to college, they get real life sailing experience, they wait for an opening, whether it's Tampa or Fort Lauderdale or Jacksonville, and then they apply to take the test, they study for the test. If they are the top scorer, they get the job. Male, female, African American, it's wide open. There's that top score gets the job.
Thank you, sir.
So it's very competitive to get into these jobs. Now, that's not the same. There's nepotism in other ports around the country. Louisiana may be foremost with that. But here in Florida, it's tightly regulated.
Through the bayou, under the bus, under the ship. Any other questions from the Port Authority to my left?
I'm good.
All right. What about on this side? Jason, you were saying you wanted to go for
We are the ones on your right.
Yeah, on my right.
True. There's your left.
Your military left.
Okay, open invitation. Carlos knows how to get a hold of me if anybody ever wants to. I'll say you got to carve out most of the day to do it.
Sure.
Oh, no.
If you ever want to go out and see the action, give me a call.
So, open invitation.
Carlos, let's just have the next meeting on Egmont.
There you go. Like it. There you go.
Do that.
Love it. Thank you.
I like it.
Thank you. There are so many aspects to the port and maritime industry that I think the pilots have one of the more interesting challenges, as you heard, with regard to navigating those ships in. Without the pilots, we wouldn't have the ships. The ships are getting larger. The ports are the same size. We're trying to grow the ports, but they're really squeezing in those ships to make sure that we can handle more ships on the same real estate. So that's really, really appreciated, because without that, we probably lose a significant amount of goods and services, as well as revenue and critical commodities that need to come through the port. So we really, really thank our pilots. They do a fantastic job. Next, we have Chaplain Holton from Anchor House. You heard earlier to talk about the maritime or seafarers' homes. Here we call them the Anchor House. Some ports call it the Casa del Marino, the seafarers, space. Some Stella Maris, the North Star, that they are guided by. But every port has them, and ours is particularly good. It's been here for a long time. Each year they have a reception because to welcome the volunteers. I mean, the amount of volunteers they have to handle the sailors that come off the boat that might need, let's say, guidance, spiritual guidance. They might need, training of some kind. They might need anything, whatever they need. Anchor House supplies it, but the need that's really interesting. They have the most requested service at Anchor House is take me to the mall. They really love our malls here because they're on their ships, for months and months and months, and they have a to-do list from the spouse, buy me this, buy me that, And most of them, of course, are foreign sailors, depending on the ship. They could be from Eastern Europe, they could be from the Philippines, the crew might be German, so there's quite a bit of the need, and they know the best deals on purchase are here, and we love to take them to the mall, and Anchor House accommodates that. So please, if you don't mind, then giving us some further insight.
Thank you for inviting me today. A little about myself. I'm about 1 year in as being the executive director at Anchor House. I started November 15th, and I am one of those individuals who never knew that a ministry existed about a year and a half ago, let alone where Port Manatee was, or Seaport Manatee is at, except for I knew the jail was there. That's the only thing, and I'm finding that is a very, very common understanding of people in the community, and one of our jobs at Anchor House is to promote not only Anchor House, but to promote Seaport Manatee as well, to let people know what exactly is going on out here. I am a dad. I have 4 kids, one in college, one graduated, one in middle school, one in high school. My wife is a teacher at Bradenton Christian School. I'm a part-time pastor at a Baptist church in town, and I'm also the spring training chaplain for the Baltimore Orioles, who sadly lost last week. But I know probably you're all Rays fans, but I like to tell everybody the reason why the Orioles did so well this year was because our chaplain services during the spring training, but I can't take that on myself. Good guys, and I've enjoyed doing that for the past 4 years. Anchor House has been around for 30 years. This is our 30th year anniversary, and it's a growing ministry. It's growing because the port is growing, and let me get this here. Our mission statement is that we meet the spiritual, emotional, and physical needs of all international seafarers and the local Seaport Manatee community. You will see in there that we have a 3-fold purpose: spiritual, emotional, and physical. Now, being international, not everybody who comes in is either a religious or Christian at that. So we are not a proselytizing ministry. We do not proselytize. We offer services to people who may have a walk with Christ, and we will encourage that and foster that. But we also try to meet the emotional and physical needs of our seafarers as well. But we also look at Seaport Manatee as something that we minister to as well. If you've ever been to our center right in port here, we are unique because we are probably one of the only ones that I know of in Florida. I just did a tour this week, actually yesterday, of Miami, Everglades, and Port Canaveral. We are probably the only mission in the area who has easy access for the seafarers. Seafarers can walk to our center as long as they have the proper paperwork and everything, of course. But we are located in a fabulous place, and we thank the Port Manatee for that, because we've given us a beautiful location, and we love to have that place because it's a place where people come all the time. We are a place where we provide rest, relaxation, food. I can't offer you tours on boats, but I can give you a hot dog or hamburger if you'd like, and a drink. But we have worship services, we do prayer, we have Bible studies, we transport people into town, we do barbecues, movies, coffee, pool tables. We provide any kind of need for our seafarers and for our seaport community as well. Just some statistics. This last month, September, I guess this would be September's stats, not we had 36 ships visited. We had 1,400 meals served. We had 428 seafarers visit Anchor House. And out of those 428, we took 133 of them to town. And as Carlos said, what most of them want to do is to get off the ship and go shopping. Now, I do have to correct you. It's not the mall that they want to go to. It's Best Buy. Every one of them wants to go to Best Buy. And this month it's Apple because the iPhone Pro Max 15 just came out, so everyone needs their new iPhone. So we try to accommodate as best as we can. We are a volunteer led ministry, so we're thankful that the snowbirds are coming back because a lot of our volunteers are snowbirds. But currently we have 2 paid staff, myself and many of you know Trish Allagood. And we are currently seeking a part-time employee. So if you know anybody that needs 30 hours a week, $17 an hour, we could use them during the week. So that's my little plug for today. But what we do is we do worship services. This is a recent service here. We had about 16 guys. It's a Filipino crew. That is invite only. We do not force ourselves onto the ships. They invite us. We come and we just provide a time of whether it's a Bible study, singing songs, teaching, whatever that may be. This is a crew that we just worked with last month. Whether it's going into town, we go to Walmart, we go to the premium outlets, we go to Best Buy, we go to UTC. Bad picture of me with my hair, I apologize about that, but some days for me, it's driving. That's all I do is drive. On occasion, most Filipinos, or I say most seafarers that come in here are Filipino. And if you've ever been to the Philippines, one of their fast food restaurants is Jollibee. And that's in the Philippines, and there's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 in the United States. We happen to have one in St. Petersburg. So when they find out that we have a Jollibee, we go across the bridge and we take them out for lunch. And we took a crew out last weekend, and I think we had 15 guys go out, and it was just a great time. This gentleman right here in the black shirt, when we were eating, I looked at him, I said, "So how is it?" And he looked at me, goes, "This is the happiest I've been the whole time that I've been out to sea." And he had been on the ship for 8 months. So he was very happy that we went to Jollibee. We are a local ministry. These are the people that if you're here at the port, these are the guys you see every day, unloading the ships, driving forklifts, doing whatever they need to do here. For lunchtime, we provide a restaurant for them where they can buy food. This right here, we had a day, it was very hot this summer, so we decided we were going to have an ice cream day. Bought everybody ice cream, and you say a little gesture can go a long ways. Well, that's the case. And I would say 99.9% of the men and women who work here at this port are respectful, thankful, very appreciative of Anchor House. And these are, if they work for any of you, you should be proud of them, because they do hard work, and they are very nice people to work with. So we look at this as, we work with the dock workers, and here, the ports, in the Port Authority and Seaport Manatee, we're open as well. If you ever want to come down and have a cheap lunch, I'm not going to say it's great. I mean, it's microwavable food, but it's food, and we love to have you come. Our center was just renovated. We had a $170,000 renovation that we just completed about a month and a half ago, and we were able to do that through the TK Foundation gave us a grant, and ITF gave us a grant as well, and we kicked in some money as well. So we have a fresh look, a fresh place, and the couches and the TV. We always have people staying there around 1 o'clock, from 12 to 1 o'clock, watching whatever is going on there. But we are a local ministry, so we will take care of all of you. Our dock workers, our longshoremen, our stevedores, and our Port Authority. We would love to have you come. And even any of the businesses in town, we'd love to have, in the port, we'd love to have you come as well. But we're also global. We work with the guys on the ship. And that's the one thing that we love, is working with these individuals. I have 4 short stories I want to tell about people, and how, just in the 1 year, how I've established relationships with some of these individuals. This gentleman's name is Dave. He used to be the chef on the Queen Bee 2, which is a ship that comes in weekly. He was one of the first seafarers I met, and I found out that he is from Iloilo, Philippines, and I have a friend who's my best friend, lives in Iloilo. He has a respite home farm in Iloilo City that he loves to have churches and people who are just working hard and want to take a week off and go up to his farm. So I introduced him to my friend Sam and his family, and when he went on his break for a time, I believe it was back in December or January, I connected the two, and about 5 months ago, I got this picture. This is my friend Sam and his wife Amy in Iloilo, where Dave went and visited Sam in the Philippines and was able to take a day of just resting and relaxing, food, and just having a nice day. And I'm trying more to do this with individuals who are from Iloilo to connect him with Sam and his family so that they can take care of them. Not only can we take care of them here in Seaport Manatee, but also in the Philippines. This is an individual. I'm not going to tell you his name, but he was third mate from India. When we get their shore passes, we have to write down their names, and his name was Fanu Parkash. And I was talking to him. He was third mate. He's from India. They were here for 33 days. Their ship had some issues, and they were here for 33 days, and they were just every day wanting to go to town, every day. And I just kept talking, and I got a relationship with Fanu. And the very last day, I went onto the ship and I said, hey, I need to talk to Fanu. And everyone's like looking at me like, who is Fanu? And they're asking me this stuff. And he finally come up to me and I said, hey, Fanu, how are you doing? And he goes, sir, I need to tell you something. I said, what's that? He goes, my name's not Fanu. And I said, well, that's what's on your shore pass. He goes, yeah, I know. That means first name unknown. And I was like, oh. So I said, well, why did you wait 30 days to tell me this? He goes, I didn't want to offend you, sir, but his name is Parkash. And I actually still keep in contact with him. We probably talk maybe once a week via Facebook. Great guy. This is Peter Ebenezer. He was here about a month ago. He's from India. He's actually was a Christian, and one day he came to me and said, "Sir, could you and I do a Bible study?" And I said, "Well, actually, my church is having a Bible study tonight in town. Would you like to come with me?" And he said, "I would love to." So I packed him up in my car, and we went to my house. He met my family, and took him to worship service. Loved it. Had a wonderful time. Got him home in time to be back on ship. His wife is pregnant. He's going home in 2 months to see his new baby when it's born. And he said to me, he goes, I just want to find ways to support ministries that support India and bringing the gospel to India. So Peter is a great guy, and I miss him a lot. I still keep in contact with him. All these guys I keep in contact with. And lastly, this is Roman. He's from Russia. He's chief engineer of the Sonderborg. He was here weekly when the Queen B3 was down. And he was detained. He could not get off the vessel because he did not have the proper papers. And he and I hit it off immediately because I said, hey, what can I do to help you? And he says, well, I love coffee and I love music. And I said, hey, that's what I love as well. So I would find him coffee. And then he asked me, he said, well, I collect vinyl records. And I said, oh, what do you know? So do I. So I have a friend in town who owns a record shop, and he would give me a list. I'd go into town, I'd buy him the vinyl, as you see right here is an Earth, Wind, and Fire record. I was very excited about that, and we would do that, and he very much loved it. And what he gave me an idea that since he loves coffee, that most seafarers, when you go on their ship, they want to give you coffee. So what we do is we have a friend of ours who has a business. It's called Channel Roasters, and he makes these little bags of coffee for us, and we put our sticker on the back. And every ship that we visit, we give the captain or whoever a bag of coffee to let them know that this is our gift to you, and so that they'll remember who we are at Anchor House. And that's one of the things that Roman has been keeping in contact with, and he actually is now going regularly to Port Canaveral. So I've connected him with the chaplains in Port Canaveral as well. So these are just four guys that made an impact in my life. I think about them often. We talk to them often, and just wanted to put some faces who are on these ships. So what are some ways that you can support us? We are always looking for volunteers. If you have a lunch break and you don't want to eat, come and serve some food. We'd love to have that. Or if you know people that are looking to volunteer. Secondly, what we do, share about Anchor House, who we are, what we do. We're available. We're out here. We'd love for you to tell people about them. Just like we share about Seaport Manatee, please share about us. Thirdly, we always take money. So if you want to give it, we'll take it. Terry, that's that. Pray. This is my wife and I, and this is Trish. Pray for us. We have a lot on our plates. Days can be long, nights can be long, And I'm going to give a lot of props to Trish, who has given 28 years of those 30 years to this ministry. She is here tirelessly. Well, I won't say tirelessly. She's tired. She gives her, faithfully, she gives her time. She's here weekends, weeknights, all the time. Be praying for her. And lastly, so we have an annual banquet coming up March 9th in 2024 at IMG. Would love to have you come be part of it, be a sponsor, attend. We're looking for speakers. If you know any speakers, we had Steve Schembaum last year, so we're looking for someone to speak this year, and we had about 200 people show up. Raised, I think, $50,000, which is the most we've ever raised at a banquet, and we love to share this. So I want to say thank you to Seaport Manatee, everybody here, because you have supported us over the years, and all of the businesses you've supported us. We couldn't do this without you, and thank you for allowing me the 15 minutes or so to speak and share a little bit about our ministry.
Does anyone have any questions for the Anchor House chaplain? Well, sir, we appreciate what you do so much. Thank you for, day in, day out. That's the grind. That's the real work. Not just showing up for big events, but, getting it done. And so we appreciate that. And hopefully Carlos, as the chair of the port directors, can encourage all the other ports to let their anchor houses on site. That'd be a big win for the entire state and for all our seafarers. And then I have another idea that I'll talk to Carlos offline on. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you're starting to see kind of the, some of the software to the port, some of the hardware to the port. I think it's beneficial that we provide you with a wide array of information, such as, Anchor House, the pilots, and now we have what I consider a real business at the port, a real customer at the port that's in the business of LNG manufacturing of the products such as air products, but this one is on site. It's called Apex Products. They kind of relocated, understandably so, from Erie, Pennsylvania, and having been around there, I don't blame them for relocating their manufacturing here. So, part of the benefits of manufacturing on site in Florida. So, Evan Hinshaw from Apex Manufacturing is going to give us a brief presentation on what they do. Thank you. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Well, I want to find out when you guys are doing that barbecue, because that sounded really good to me. So I'll need to sign up for that and try to contribute, and I'll hopefully participate. So thanks for today, for inviting Apex Engineered Products. We're a newcomer to the Seaport Manatee port, and I'm a northerner, and we're a lot of snowbirds that come down, and I had relatives, Sun City, Ellington. I think our owners had roots in Venice over the summer, over the winter months. So it's a real pleasure to come down and eventually set roots down here. So I moved my family down for about 2.5 years. And I just want to say the whole area here has been very accommodating since we've moved on to the port. So I really appreciate all the support we had to get our small outfit up and running. And hopefully we can grow with the Seaport Manatee as you guys grow. So to tell you a little bit about our product line, we offer engineering services and pressure vessels to a lot of chemical plants and other affiliated applications that have high pressure vessels. And usually we have a niche where we go after corrosive applications. So all these plants you buy, refineries and chemical plants, the Mosaic chemical plants, 95% of it is carbon steel. But that other 5% is very key because it's where the demanding process conditions are, and that's where we participate with our product lines. So we have a lot of certifications, and that's what this slide is. And we have the U-Stamp is where we can build new equipment here on the Seaport site in the old ship repair building. And the R stamps are for field work and repurposing. And we have several of those out in our backyard now going into companies like Mosaic and Nutrien. And we also do Canadian. So here's when we said up towards Erie, he's right. We're about an hour north of Pittsburgh, but about an hour south of Erie. So that's a little area called Clark, PA. And they've been there for about 20 years. And we've been operating down here with our USAMP and certification fabricating for going on about 1.5 to 2 years now. And we have a small sales office in Morocco because of the big phosphate mines there. We participate there. And we have some support people and software and operators there in India. And of course our Seaport Manatee location. And of course Air Products, we always saw where they really benefited from the port access with larger vessels. And our company has aspirations to really service more of the Latin America industries where there's still a lot of growth with larger equipment. And we were really landlocked in Pennsylvania. So this seaport access really allows us to now tap into the whole Gulf Coast. So you drive by it every day if you come in on the north side of the port there, and Guns is our new landlords, but then we sublet through them to the port, and we sit on the small corner property there. But it was a very accommodating facility just because of the overhead crane access and the industrial utilities that were there already. So it was ideal when I drove by a couple of years ago and saw them clearing out the place, and it was really good timing. So if you're familiar with a lot of the different industries that we would service, you can see a lot of acids and caustics and corrosive media, and that's as I mentioned, we're into those high chlorine or high phosphoric acid applications, and a lot of these go into the Gulf Coast chemical processing equipment. So we specialize in premium metals, and that's where I came on board. I've been selling specialty metals from mills, from reactive metals to specialty nickel alloys and stainless steels for many years. So when the management brought me on, they wanted to try to really focus more and more on these. We bring in materials from all over the world. We try to definitely buy America, but sometimes you have to be competitive. And then we do put all these into our equipment and then ship either domestically or overseas. So if you've never heard of some of these are called reactive, and as well as the two bottom ones, niobium and tantalum, are refractive, refractory type metals. And that's just some of the corrosion resistant materials that we work in. So not common grades. A lot of the austenitic stainless steels, very common in industry when you step up from carbon steel. And then you get into a lot of these nickel-based alloys. So you hear these words of nickel and Incaloy and Santa Cruz, they're all trademark names of nickel-based materials. And then the high austenitic stainless steels, where you typically upgrade a stainless steel with a little bit of moly and chrome to give it particular features for corrosion resistance, and same with super duplexes. So give you just a smattering of some of the materials we work in to build these pressure vessels. So let's talk a little bit about some of these pressure vessels, and I had to put this in here as well. We represent Graphite India, so we actually import and sell and represent them in the U.S. market, because a lot of times, especially in these phosphoric acid plants, metals don't hold up once you get into the second and third evaporators to concentrate phosphoric acid, so you have to go to a non-metallic, and these vessels are made out of impervious graphite. And it just gives you a slew of some of the graphite facilities they have there in India that they draw from to make these pressure vessels that go into the phosphate plants here and other chemical plants in the Gulf. So we do a lot of design work. We do make products, but we also do a lot of upfront design work. So this just highlights some of the softwares that we use to come up with the designs so that we can meet the National Board pressure vessel requirements. So anytime you go by a lot of these plants, if they're under pressure, it's just like a steam boiler in any type of building or house. They have to be regulated for pressure containment. We do a lot of specialty welding with these high alloys, so a lot of experience, a lot of welding procedures that we have in-house that are proprietary for our equipment and our capabilities. A lot of machining. Drilling, tapping, rolling. So you're typically taking a lot of plate, sheet, bar, wire, tube, and forming it into these vessels. And we have a lot of this in-house, and some we sub out. This is an overlay process. And then after you do the overlay, you put it up there, you clean it up, and then it makes a very nice tube sheet. Water jet cutting. And then if you're doing a lot of this equipment, you have to make sure that all these materials coming in, and I'm sure a lot of the people here in the port know when they're receiving materials, you got to have a good incoming inspection. And we do XRF or Niton, some people call it, inspection of the metals to make sure what's coming in is what we ordered. And just a collage of different types of testing that we do on metals before, and then also testing you do on afterwards. So this is a helium leak test monitor. Make sure we don't have leak between the tube and tube sheet. This is a magnetic particle testing. The XRF PMI testing, positive material inspection. And then we do a lot of this through the portal. So you'll have customer inspectors come in, and we'll have third-party inspectors. We used to do this, we started this during COVID because nobody wanted to come out and do personal inspections, so we did a lot online, moving the camera around, showing them testing, and actually being able to witness virtually. And we've kept that open now because it's been very handy, especially in transferring documents as well. So a lot of the plants around here can't afford to always buy new equipment, so we do field refurbishing. This just gives you an idea when you take the end off of a shell and tube. This is what it looks like. This is all your tubes. This is your process media going down the inside of these. And then on the shell side, you have your utility water or your steam, and that's your heat transfer there. And then after we cleaned it up and got it all trued up and tigged in all the LP, we've got it back in service. This is some shops here. This shop here is in our bay there and the old ship works. And then some field inspection there at top. And this gentleman's doing a PT inspection. And these are reactors. So we actually do tanks as well as heat exchangers and reactors as well. And we got a nice big column project that's going to be fun. I think we might build that one down here. It would be about 60 foot long, about 2 meter diameter. So don't think we'll ever get to the air product size, but we're working our way up. So that's our owner in the foreground there, Mark Grasso. Welding. You know, as I work through this, some of the beginning slides I had, I wanted to show our first metal evaporator that we shipped out of here about 3 weeks ago, and we loaded and it went down to Mexico. But those 3 or 4 slides somehow slipped out of my presentation. But that was quite exciting for us because we did put that on our website. So just visit us at Apex Engineered Products and you'll see a lot of those slides and the loading of that first vessel. So that was quite, what do you call it, champagne breaker for us. These are all just a lot of heat exchangers. So I'm going to flash through a lot of these. These sulfuric acid coolers, if you guys remember the yellow mound out here for many, many years, you know, a lot of these phos acid plants make all their sulfuric acid from those sulfur depots. And once that acid is generated, then you definitely have to be able to cool it because it is an exothermic reaction when you produce sulfuric. And of course the sulfuric is there to leach the phosphate or the phosphorus out of the phosphate minerals out of the ores. And just a collage, lots of pictures, but since I don't have a nice video, I thought I'd show a lot of pictures. So. Exactly, that would be great. It would be great. But here's just a smattering of some hopefully recognizable names up there. I heard one mentioned earlier, a gentleman worked for Cargill. I'll be going up and visiting him in the Midwest next week. We're going to build a huge, probably a 12-foot diameter by about 30-foot long caustic nickel tank. So that'll be an exciting job for us. Yep. And we've actually been very helpful in a lot of stevedore services here to move some of our equipment over in our field. Sometimes it gets quite heavy, and once you start getting into some weights where we're at capacity on our equipment there at the shop, then we're able to pull in food port services there. So that was very helpful. And we sometimes get in some exciting things. It's not all land-based. These are a tube and tube coil that's going into an aerospace application. So it gets a little exciting once in a while. But that's the challenge of our business. That's what keeps me energized. I've been in it for 30 years on the supply side and now on the manufacturing side, is where a lot of these special materials end up over the world and in the U.S. And this, they're on the end. I thought I had them in the beginning. So this was this is one of what you call the first effective evaporator made of high nickel alloys. And then the second and the third would probably be made of graphite. But this one went down to Mexico, has a lot of high nickel alloy in it. And there it is with loading on and getting ready and staging for shipping down there, out of this port. And just, we do a lot of local business because we want to support, and the bleach guys across the street, if you're not familiar, bleach, you use a lot of FRP. It only lasts for a few years, and then you have to keep replacing it. We make titanium, and the titanium piping in really high flow critical areas holds up much better, so we've been supplying across the street as well. And I am going to breeze through these just to show a lot of proud, happy welders showing off some of the wares they've been working on here. This is a huge titanium 15-foot diameter, about 25-foot long. This one's going to hold a high chlorine, like a concentrated bleach for a company that we do service up in Niagara. A different type of tank, high alloy, but a flat bottom rather than a hemispherical head. This one's a nickel. This is going into ag chem that we sold over into the Louisiana ship channel. And we actually participate a little bit in the Southwest for geothermal. So we are green. We're trying to participate in a lot of these new sites that are opening up and taking advantage of the geothermal attributes, but now scavenging the lithium products out of those. So very corrosive. They're all brines, so you get into a lot of nickel-based alloys as well as titanium at high pressure. And that's it. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Any questions?
Well, we have a highly technical board, so I expect lots of detailed questions. Does anyone have any questions?
Explained everything. They did
Actually,
great job.
they're telling me that they actually understood everything fully that you
I
made in
said
the
it in
presentation.
really good layman terms.
Appreciate
No,
that.
that's very impressive, and we're glad that you're here. And you, actually, I do have one question. You still have your presence in Pennsylvania, is that correct?
We do.
Okay. All right, well, that's
Yeah.
great. We like
I've been to Clark Summit. I've been to Clark, Pennsylvania. Also, there's another commodity or another product comes out of there that comes here. It's salt, major salt, out of Clark Summit, PA. That's used again down here in Florida. And so, we're very happy that Apex decided to follow the lead of other companies to relocate here because it's really about the jobs. Right. The technicality of it, to me, means they pay more. So that's great, so we can have that affordable housing even more affordable. Because they are paying a significant wage compared, to other service industries, manufacturing, export-related manufacturing, or even manufacturing like they're doing here, is really the ultimate opportunity for ports because they pay so much better. And you can have such a higher level of technical people, including cooperations with Manatee Technical, which trained a lot of these welders to a level where at least then Apex and Air Products could take them further to the higher technical level of what they need. And now in both Apex and Air Products probably working, Air Products 24/7, 3 shifts, nonstop, and shipping out like crazy. So it's a great news, and that's the side of the customer side, not shipping, but customer side that we also want you to take a look at.
a little bit late, but welcome to Manatee County. We're glad you're here, and we appreciate your business. Yes, ma'am.
I actually do have one quick question. What is the average salary for one of your highly technical welders, if you know?
Well, we did bring down one of our key welders from Pennsylvania. He has been training up from actually had a company come over from the community college. So But we're definitely probably once we get them trained up, they get a few certifications, we like to see them make a weld and pass first time. You're probably looking in the high 20s.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Bucurus.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We now come to our regular agenda. We have here your attorney, Jennifer Cowan, who is going to review with you the results of my annual...
Consent first.
Consent, sorry. Thank you. That's why we have the lawyer. We need your review and would appreciate the vote on the consent agenda.
All right. Unless anyone has something they'd like to remove, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Van Ostenbridge, a second from Commissioner Ron. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor of passing the consent agenda? Yep. She's going to want public comment. All right. We'll open it up to public comment. Seeing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. And we will move on to number 11 on our agenda.
Good morning, Port Authority members. As you know, pursuant to the Executive Director's contract, we do an annual performance evaluation. And each year I present a summary of that evaluation to you. The evaluation looks at 8 categories of performance. And each category also has the availability for individuals to include comments. Those categories are ranked based on outstanding, meet standards, or needs improvement. And summarizing the reviews I received, and I did receive several this year, thank you so much. The first category, business development, all ranked Carlos outstanding in this category. Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Is this, do we have this in our agenda? Do we have the documents in our agenda or no?
I did not include all of the individual reviews. Certainly, if you want them, I'm happy to distribute those.
All right,
I just
that's fine.
generally provide a summary.
We'll just listen closely. That's great.
Okay. So the first category, business development, all ranked Carlos outstanding in this category, and comments included that Carlos does a great job reaching out to new clients. With regard to relationship with the authority, several members ranked him outstanding and one ranked him meets standards. The comments included that Carlos has always been very responsive and reached out as items of importance came up. With regard to financial management and regulatory compliance, again, all ranked Carlos outstanding. And the Seaport is making significant profits and we're held up as a model of compliance, so I cannot think of what more we would want, was one of the comments received. Public image and community relations, several members ranked Carlos outstanding and one ranked him meet standards. Comments included the Seaport is highly regarded here in Manatee County as well as statewide. Events like Ship Shape and job fairs further expand the relationship with the public. Strategic planning and goals all ranked Carlos outstanding in this category and stated that he is actively looking for ways to plan for future growth and new clients, and he never rests on his laurels. Leadership all ranked Carlos outstanding in this category, and the comments included that he always has a smile on his face and that when you see his employees, they have a smile too when he's around. The 7th category is job and industry knowledge. Again, all ranked Carlos outstanding in this category, and the comments included that Carlos was appointed to the head of the Florida Ports Council, and which shows his knowledge and respect in the industry. Judgment and decision-making, again, all ranked Carlos outstanding, and comments included that Carlos has tried new things in the past and has always seemed to work, and it's always seemed to work out. Even if we lose a client, we seem to get them back in very short order. And the general comment was just keep up the good work. So in conclusion, the rankings represent an overall improvement from last year's evaluation. There were no rankings of needs improvement. Carlos was ranked outstanding by the majority of members in all categories. And that concludes my summary of his annual evaluation. I'm here if you have any questions, and Carlos is there if you have any comments.
Right. Do we have any questions or comments from anyone on the board?
I think we'll keep them around a while, right?
I think we should probably keep him around, so absolutely. Appreciate your hard work, and I'm excited about being the chair of the Florida Council as well, and we know that two big jobs going, but they're related, and if anybody can do both at the same time, it'd be you, so we appreciate you, and I look forward to a great year coming up. So,
Thank you.
do you need any action from the board?
We don't. This was just a discussion item.
All right, cool. Great. Thank you. All right.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, if I may, I want to thank really my team, my staff. I could not get these grades without them. They're really a fantastic team. Very, very, very low turnover. Usually people go from here to retirement, and some of them extend retirement, way beyond what they should or could, because they do love coming here, and they can't imagine a professional life without having something to do with the port. So really, the credit goes to my team. Thank you very much. If they could get up a minute, I know we have a lot of them here, but if they could get up for a minute, I think I'd like to recognize them. So, thank you.
Wonderful.
With your concurrence, Commissioners, we'll move on to Executive Director comments. It's okay?
Yes, sir.
As part of the Executive Director comments, there's one individual here by the name of Carlo, without the S, Carlo Barbieri. If you could get up, Carlo. And he is one of the newest, let's say, tenets of our international trade hub. He brings together everything Brazil. Brazil is Florida's largest trading partner. We buy, we sell to Florida. I mean, it is not just to Seaport Manatee, to the entire state of Florida, the #1 trading partner. So we were able to convince Mr. Barbieri and his group, although it says Oxford, really it's a Brazilian group, headquartered now here at Seaport Manatee and in Sao Paulo and throughout Brazil. Last Monday, and we'll tell you more about the next meeting, he brought a whole slew of Brazilian executives, including the ambassador from Brazil for a ribbon cutting, opening this strategic center for Brazil, and no other port in Florida has that. In fact, dare to say no other port on the East Coast of the U.S. has that either. So Carlos here, he's leading the team. He relocated from Boca, can't blame him, better than Boca, than Manatee County. So he brings along all of these, East Coast residents that now are looking for homes here too. So the economic impact with the port and the hub, moving from Clark, PA down here, so it's really positive. And not only does it gives them a chance to move to Florida, but to earn a living while they're doing it. In fact, one of the commodities mentioned by Apex, graphite, one of the companies that came, right, is involved heavily in manufacturing graphite from Brazil. So there are many, I think, synergistic opportunities, and you'll be hearing more from Carlo Barbieri and his team in the coming months. So thank you.
Welcome, Carlo. Good to have you. We're excited to have you.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move into Executive Director comments.
All right.
Okay.
We're ready.
So, one of the key players in the industry are the truckers. The truckers are by far, the profession that most, supports the port. They're here every day. About 2,500 of them coming through security, leaving security. So Dave St. Pierre and his team do a fantastic job in moving them in and out quickly, because we're doing that under the umbrella of several federal agencies that want to know who's coming to the port, when they leave, what they're doing, where everything is. So as a result, it's a burdensome but yet a very efficient system to get those trucks in and out. And so every year we want to recognize, and this is the 8th annual, we want to recognize the truckers for their service. Being friendly to the truckers works in our favor anyway. And so we're out there serving, food, serving them a lunch, giving them T-shirts so they don't forget us. They have a choice at what port they can choose and go. So they don't have to come here. If they have a load that comes to, to go to another port like Tampa, they don't want to go. They don't have to go to Tampa. They can choose another job and come here. And we want to make sure they choose Seaport Manatee. So again, we have a lot of community outreach, as we know. Most of you were there. We want to get out there to the community. When we have customers overseas, but letting the community know. And one of the reasons why we changed to Seaport Manatee, you all know why already, but that helps tremendously in enhancing the job that the board does here, because this is your other hat that is not as well known as your county jobs, but this is critical to hiring people, to the economic impact, without $1 of ad valorem taxes. So this is truly an economic engine, a generator that you run and set the policy for on an annual basis. So we have 2 new businesses that are essentially using the port. We have a new cement mixing batch plant, all the construction. Right from here, the cement is imported from overseas. It can be batched here and can go directly to the job site. Additionally, we picked up a customer that brings in solar steel, meaning for solar panels, for solar plants. Huge amount of business. They're bringing it in, by the hundreds of tons. Why? Because of the demand for solar energy in Florida. And so it's staged here, it comes in, staged here, and then gets distributed directly to the job site. But the first point of entry is here. A lot of business, a lot of jobs related to this business also. Of course, we need to get out there, and our team needs to be at where the customers are. So break bulk, which again is something that is not in a container, our team, our marketing team, as well as Director of Operations, went out to Houston to make sure that the other ports were not getting ahead of us. So we're always making sure, looking to the left, looking to the right, that other ports are not passing us at any time. Some of the year-end stats. Again, growth. As you heard Terry with the pilots, the port is really hitting on all cylinders. The business is growing. It's not, the tumbleweeds going through the port anymore. We even had to suspend a few years ago our trolley tour because we were about to have somebody hurt on the trolley because those operators on the equipment for the containers are moving so quickly. They could miss that trolley and we could have a serious issue. So that was eliminated, but we do offer tours on demand. So the commodities that you saw also at the presentation at the chamber, key commodities that we all see and all use, especially gas, foodstuff, aluminum, lumber, and the operating revenue, which, again, has to be audited by the clerk. There we go. So that has also gone up. Some of the commodities, again, we're growing in the steel commodities. This is aluminum, this is steel. This aluminum is from Argentina. This steel is from Brazil. So this Brazilian steel is new, relatively new. Again, recognizing they have a choice of any port. They chose us. Why? Because we're in Brazil, making sure that they ship it to us. And so it's an effort that is, hand-to-hand combat, because you have 15 other marketing directors at ports and directors at seaports that are there trying to get the same business. Of course, you know about this product already, extremely, productive, $105 million of value. That's the wholesale value, and every supermarket has them. Okay, but not just bananas, not just steel, not just aluminum. We also, for the rich and famous, we bring in yachts. And these yachts are for Marine Max. These are about $5 million a piece. We brought in $73 million of yachts, for the recreational industry. And so these yachts are going to stay in Florida and going to be sold in Florida. And again, creating more jobs as a result of the need to crew and to even supply those yachts. Security, our security department is extremely adept at getting funding, because security is almost an unfunded mandate You know, we have high-end positions of security levels. We have, I think, the best security department in the state of Florida, if not the U.S., simply because our Director of Security, David St. Pierre, trains the trainers. When the FBI or other federal agencies want to know what security is at a port, they call him. How do we do this? They trust him so much that really we're having to run the whole port on security, while other ports are not trusted, and so Homeland Security runs it for them. So it really is an honor that we can have that kind of trust level with our federal agencies to be able to have that confidence to be able to operate efficiently. Of course, we need to continue to build, and that's expensive. You know, there's a tremendous need that, you know, the space demands more, the volume demands more space. Each acre of container yard is now up to $1.6 million. Not cheap. That comes entirely from the port. No home ad valorem taxes are used. We need to build it, and we need to sell it. It's not a guarantee that just because we put in a container yard, someone's not going to take our containers. So we need to be very, very aware that to keep the customer and to expand the business. The last one I have here is something that is related to something we're going to do in a minute, and that is the State of Israel and the Port of Ashdod earlier this year asked us to sign a technical letter of let's say, cooperation to develop best practices at ports. The Enterprise Florida gave us the encouragement to do it, and we were the only port in Florida that has this agreement with the Port of Ashdod. The other ports somehow, don't know why, they backed out, so they didn't do that. I think it's a credit to this Port Authority, to this port, that we were out there signing this LOI with the Port of Ashdod and Enterprise Florida earlier this year. So those are my remarks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for what you mentioned there at the end. First of all, just a little bit more background. When we say the Port of Ashdod, we know locally we have we have privately owned ports, and then we have publicly owned ports. Can you tell us about the Port of Ashdod?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Port of Ashdod is the only State of Israel owned port. It's a strategic port. They don't want to give it to another company to run, so they run the port. So our LOI, our intent at the behest of the Port of Ashdod, essentially a direct agreement with the Israeli government. And the Port of Ashdod is run by the Ministry of Transport of the State of Israel.
Thank you, sir. I know many of us, we watched with just horror as these unprovoked attacks on civilians, on young people going to a concert, and families trying to enjoy peace in their home, and were attacked militarily without provocation. And these attacks and atrocities must not go unanswered. Hamas has chosen to pick up the mantle of barbarism and evil from ISIS. And I want to make it clear, and I hope this Port Council will make it clear today, that we stand with Israel united against these terrorists. And so with that, I have a letter here that I think it would be appropriate to sign and adopt today. I think I will read it into the record. It says, Seaport Manatee proudly stands with the State of Israel and unequivocally condemns the appalling acts of terrorism by Hamas. There is no justification for terrorism and no justification for the terrorist actions of Hamas. For Seaport Manatee, this is personal. Our port, through a letter of intent supporting collaborative and innovative projects, works in partnership with Ashdod Port and the State of Israel. This is an agreement that Seaport Manatee and Ashdod Port entered into in early 2023. As such, we've been working cooperatively with our partners in Ashdod Port and exploring operational knowledge sharing opportunities to further strengthen supply chain logistics and identify joint business development prospects. Therefore, As friends and partners of Israel and Ashdod Port, Seaport Manatee declares its unwavering support for Israel in its efforts to defend itself and its people against these atrocities inflicted by Hamas. And with that, I will take any comment from our port members.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Van Ostenbridge.
I'm thrilled that you brought the letter forward. I think it's written extremely well, and I'd like to make a motion to approve as written.
Second.
All right. We have a motion from Commissioner Van Ostenbridge, second from Commissioner Bearden. Do we have any other comment from commissioners, from members here, court members? All right. I'd like to open this up to public comment since we are going to be taking a vote. Is anyone here from the public that would like to speak on this? All right. See none. All those in favor of executing this letter and expressing our unwavering support for Israel and the Port of Ashdod, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The chair votes aye. It is passed unanimously. That I will sign. And it seems appropriate that we should go ahead and take a moment and take a picture of this so that it is memorialized, that we're showing support for Israel. So, Mr. Pekaris and whoever else you think would be appropriate, join us, and let's do this. We're doing it now.
Right there, right, you're right.
Yeah. Who's going to do it from the flag?
Yes.
Let's just move the chairs. Yeah. Move the water bottle as well. Close enough in. Where we're in the picture. All right, 1, 2, 3. Good. Thank you. All right.
I know. Hopefully I've got a good one this time.
Cheers.
All right. Well, I want to thank the authority and for everyone being here today. Wonderful presentations and just a lot of knowledge shared today that I think we can move forward with great business. You know, I hear a lot of good things that are going to be coming before this authority in the future, some great contracts coming up and chances for expansion. So we're excited about all those. Yes, sir. He's got his comment card.
No, just if I may, Mr. Chair, we need to take commissioner comments when you're done.
All right. And then do any other Port Authority members have any comments today?
No, sir.
No comment.
All right. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Ooh.